Donald Trump quiere que criticarlo sea un crimen, no una exageración. El presidente de los Estados Unidos lleva años intentando silenciar a cualquiera que se atreva a señalar su corrupción. Persigue a periodistas con demandas absurdas, presiona cadenas de televisión y ahora, en su última rabieta autoritaria, amenaza con encarcelar a presentadores de televisión por el simple hecho de burlarse de él.
That one of the reasons protest is important is because it can keep you sane. But also, I mean, generally speaking, when it comes to your rights, use them or lose them. Any authoritarian worth his inevitably weird hairdo would love to extinguish your right to protest, your right to free speech, your right to free assembly. It is harder to take those rights away from free people when free people regularly exercise those rights. But tactically, strategically, protesting is also important against authoritarianism. Even if the authoritarian himself doesn't care about what the protests and the protesters are doing. It's important still because authoritarian leaders like to present themselves as all-powerful, right? They like to present themselves as strong men who have all the power they want or need. They can do anything they want. But strongmen leaders alone don't have that much power at all, particularly in a system like ours, which is historically a democracy and is only right now in the process of consolidating into a would-be authoritarian state at the hands of a would-be dictator, right? We're still in the process here. Nothing is inevitable. The American people and institutions in this country get a say into how far he's going to be able to go. And sometimes protest is the most important lever in determining what institutions and powerful people themselves are willing to do, regardless of what Trump wants. I will say, for example, it's not within Trump's power to remove a late-night comedian from the air for criticizing him. Right? Trump can't do that unilaterally. He needs the company that employs that comedian. He needs the other companies involved in that business to effectively act for him once he starts complaining about that comedian and saying that guy ought to not be on the air. When Trump pressures companies to do his bidding in a case like that, oftentimes those companies will just cave and do what Trump tells them to do. But oftentimes, those companies will also be susceptible to pressure from the people to not do what Trump wants. Also, Trump's chaotic, lawless deportation spree, right? He can't do it alone. Trump tried at first doing it all with military planes. Remember how hilarious that was? He had like huge C-17 cargo planes. Those can carry 77 tons of troops and equipment. And Trump was flying C-17s around with like 5 people on board in the back because he thought that would look tough. Dude, we're paying for that plane. You got 5 guys on board. Now, he needs contractors to participate in this, like, say, Avelo Airlines, to volunteer to provide deportation flights, because they're excited to make money off of ICE, to make money off of Trump's deportations. And that is, of course, Avelo's right to compete for contracts like that. But then, you know, if you want to just say you're going to spray some Febreze around and unhook the shackles and then try to sell the American flying public on also buying seats on those same planes for their vacation flight to Cancun or whatever, after you've been using them to deport people in Trump's utterly lawless, chaotic, shambolic deportation regime. Well, you know, the people of this country are going to have something to say about that too, which Avelo is now.
Rachel tiene razón. El poder de Trump no radica en sus órdenes, sino en el miedo que genera y en la obediencia de quienes se pliegan en sus caprichos. En este momento, mientras el presidente busca silenciar las críticas, protestar, hablar y señalar sus abusos, no es solo un derecho, es un deber cívico. Y mientras tanto, los medios tradicionales siguen cediendo ante su presión. Por eso, el periodismo independiente tiene que hacer justo lo contrario: confrontar el poder, hablar de lo que nadie quiere hablar y desenmascarar la mentira.
Cell phone spyware called Pegasus. It's spyware that infects your phone. They target your phone. You don't have to do anything wrong to be infected with it. You don't have to click on anything or do anything. They infect your phone with this spyware without you ever knowing it. Your phone shows no sign of it. And once they have infected your phone, they get access to everything that is on your phone and everything that you do with your phone. They can access its location at any time. They can turn on the microphone to hear what's happening where you are. They can turn on the camera to see you and what's around you. They can see all of the photos on your phone, all of your contacts, all of your messages, all of your notes to self, everything, even stuff that you might think is encrypted. It's not encrypted when you look at it on your phone. If you can look at it on your phone, they will have it. People close to Jamal Khashoggi were found to have been targeted, to have had their phones targeted with Pegasus software before he was murdered. Pegasus has been used to target opposition politicians and activists and lawyers and journalists all over the world, some of whom have subsequently been assassinated by despotic regimes. When this kind of a spyware surveillance tool emerged as a favored weapon for authoritarian governments and murderous dictatorships around the world, the Joe Biden administration banned the U.S. government from ever using that particular spyware or anything like it. Well, then Donald Trump was elected, and the Trump administration has now quietly reversed that ban. And indeed, they have now contracted with a company that makes exactly that same kind of spyware as Pegasus. And which part of the Trump administration is using it? Which part of the Trump administration has been given this surveillance tool? ICE. And are they using it just against immigrants? Yeah, right, as if. Headline in the Washington Post: ICE amps up its surveillance powers. ICE's acting director says the agency will deploy its elite investigative officers to probe anti-ICE protest networks. Former officials have expressed concern that ICE now has a green light not only to monitor immigrant communities, but also to carry out broad surveillance of Americans, exercising their First Amendment right to oppose government action. U.S. citizens who may not themselves be suspected of crimes. According to the Electronic Privacy Information Center, quote, "We don't know if law enforcement or ICE are even getting search warrants to deploy this software." Paragon, the company that makes this version of this no-click take over your phone software, which Trump has now given to ICE, Paragon software has been used by the Italian government to infect the phones of opposition politicians and activists who help immigrants. Penlink, another surveillance company that provides real-time location data about you to the government without a warrant, it's been used in the past to target opposition politicians and activists in Mexico and also in Hong Kong. Now our government, and specifically ICE, has those and more. Again, supposedly to use in their mission against immigrants, but also apparently to use against Americans who are protesting against them, and to use that stuff with or without a warrant, and with or without any reason.
Esto ya no es una metáfora. El presidente de Estados Unidos ha autorizado herramientas de espionaje propias de regímenes totalitarios. Pegasus, prohibido por administraciones anteriores, ahora se usa para vigilar periodistas, activistas y cualquier ciudadano que se atreva a disentir. Y aquí el verdadero peligro: cuando un gobierno comienza a tratar la disidencia como una amenaza, deja de ser democrático. Trump no solo quiere que callen los comediantes o los periodistas, quieren que todos miremos hacia otro lado mientras él consolida el control del Estado, desde la justicia hasta la información. Ese es el punto al que hemos llegado. Un presidente que quiere convertir la libertad de expresión en un privilegio para sus seguidores, que alguien haga un chiste sobre él, que cuestione sus decisiones o exponga sus fracasos, y automáticamente lo califica de enemigo del pueblo. Trump dice que el 98% de la prensa lo trata mal, tal vez porque ha saboteado instituciones, porque ha desmantelado protecciones sociales, porque ha respaldado guerras y genocidios mientras predica la paz. Y no, criticar no es odio a Trump, es simplemente decir la verdad. Y cuando sus aliados en medios como Fox intentan justificarlo, caen en ridículo. Defienden lo indefendible, minimizan el espionaje y hasta celebran abusos como si fuera una victoria patriótica. Pero detrás de esa fachada mediática hay algo más peligroso: una estructura de vigilancia que se está formando más agresiva que nunca. El proyecto de Donald Trump no necesita campos de concentración ni marchas militares para funcionar, solo necesita silencio. Y cada vez que este medio se autocensura, cada vez que un medio decide no meterse en la política, ese silencio se convierte en complicidad. Esto es Rumor de Estado.